I carried the weight for years. Bitterness, confusion, silence, not just toward my father, but toward myself. But one day I made a decision that changed everything. I chose forgiveness and traveled to see my father. And when I returned, I was free. This is the story of how I let go of the pain that was quietly shaping my life, and how you can do the same. Because sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is the one who hurt us without even knowing they did. And sometimes, that person is you. When I was around 14 years old, my parents separated. Like most kids, I didn't understand. I didn't ask many questions. I just knew this is the way it is now. My mother moved to a different part of the United States and brought me and my siblings with her. And just like that, I had a new home. But something was missing. I had no father figure, no fatherly voice to talk to, no one to give me the kind of guidance only a dad can give, no one to show me what it meant to become a man. And though I never said it out loud, part of me blamed him. Not loudly, not with fists or rebellion, but quietly. In the background of my mind, resentment lived. As years passed, the bitterness didn't scream, but it lingered. It whispered through decisions I made. It showed up in relationships, in the way I saw the world, in the way I saw myself. I didn't even realize how heavy it had become. But when you hold on to pain, it doesn't just stay inside you, it shapes you. Fast forward to my early 20s. As I was approaching my last year in the military, something clicked. I had a family of my own now, and 2 boys of my own who would one day look to me for answers. And I thought, how can I raise a child with love if I'm still carrying unresolved hurt? It was time to heal, to forgive, to be free. So I booked a flight, not just to see him, but to face everything I'd been carrying. No big plan, no expectations, just a choice. Go, reconnect, forgive. When I arrived, I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. But when I saw him, my father, something softened. We sat together for hours, talked about life, about the past, about everything and nothing. And in the silence between the words, something started to heal. And in that space, I didn't say the words out loud, but in my heart, I finally did. I forgive you, not for him, for me. And I also forgave myself for carrying that weight for so many years. I released years of pain. It felt like dropping a 100-pound duffel bag I didn't even know I was still carrying. And when I returned home, something in me had shifted. I was lighter. Over the years, I visited again and again, until the day he passed away. But because I chose forgiveness, my kids met him, they knew him, and I finally knew myself. But forgiveness isn't just for fathers and families, it's for anything you're still carrying. The disappointment, the failure, the betrayal, the opportunity you missed, the version of you that made mistakes. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the burden of holding on. So how do you actually let go? Not just in theory, but for real? These are 5 steps that changed everything for me. Step 1. Decide to let it go. Nothing changes without a decision. Not healing, not closure, not peace. Most people wait for the other person to apologize, for the perfect moment, for the pain to stop hurting. But that moment doesn't come on its own. Letting go starts with you deciding, I'm done carrying this, and not because you're okay with what happened, but because you're no longer willing to let it follow you into the future. I had carried the weight of resentment for over a decade, and it affected everything, quietly, invisibly. When I decided to get on that plane, I didn't have a plan. I didn't even know what I was going to say. But the moment I booked the flight, something shifted inside of me. That one decision, to confront the past instead of avoiding it, was like flipping a switch. The decision didn't solve everything, but it opened the door to something new. And that's how it always begins. You decide, even if you're not ready, even if you're scared, even if part of you still wants to hold on, decide to let go, and life will meet you there. Step 2. Express the pain. Unspoken pain becomes invisible weight. You carry it in your body, in your tone, in your choices. And sometimes, you don't even realize it's there until you finally let it out. That's why expression matters. Not to relive the pain, but to release it. For me, it started with one conversation. I opened up to my brother before that trip. I told him how I felt, how long I'd carried it, and how unsure I was about what I was about to do. And just saying the words started to loosen the grip that pain had on me. You don't have to broadcast it to the world, but you do need to give it a voice. Maybe that means writing a letter you'll never send, or saying the words out loud in an empty room, or sharing your story with someone you trust. Pain loses its power when it's seen. Because once you've named it, you're no longer afraid of it, and what used to define you starts to dissolve. Step 3. Don't stay the victim. It's easy to stay in the story where someone else is to blame. Easy, but dangerous. Because the longer you live in that role, the victim, the more you start to believe you have no power. And once you believe that, life just happens to you. You react instead of respond. You absorb instead of create. I could have stayed angry at my father. I could have kept replaying every moment he wasn't there, and let that absence define me. But at some point I realized I didn't want to keep giving him that much control over my life. Forgiveness doesn't mean saying what happened was okay. It means reclaiming the pen to your story. It means saying, what happened shaped me, but it doesn't get to rule me. Victimhood will wait for you forever, but healing only starts when you decide to stand up and step into your power again. Step 4. Forgive yourself and others. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, not because it requires weakness, but because it demands strength. The strength to accept that the past cannot be changed. The strength to let go of the story that kept you safe. The strength to face yourself without shame. I didn't just need to forgive my father. I needed to forgive myself for holding on to the anger, for waiting so long, for silently letting it shape the man I was becoming. We think forgiveness is a gift we give someone else. But the truth is, it's for us. It's a declaration. I'm ready to stop carrying this. And sometimes, the person who needs your forgiveness the most is the one staring back in the mirror. But here's what I know. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. And neither is anyone else. You can't undo what's been done, but you can choose what comes next. And that choice, to forgive, to release, to grow, is what makes you free. Step 5. Live in the here and now. The past has weight. The future has pressure. But the present is where your life is actually happening. When my father passed away, I went back to lay him to rest. And a few days later, my sister called me. She was heartbroken. What I didn't know was that she had carried the same resentment I once did. But unlike me, she never made peace. She never reached out. And now, she couldn't. I could hear it in her voice. The pain, the regret, the heaviness of all the words that were never spoken. I told her the truth. You can't go back. You can't rewrite the past. But you can decide what you do with it now. That's what it means to live in the present. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means refusing to let it define who you are today. And if you're still carrying something, a conversation that never happened, a wound that never healed, a version of yourself you still feel ashamed of. This is your moment. Right here, right now. Not to change what was, but to choose what will be. Because the present isn't just a place where life happens. It's the only place where healing is even possible. Whatever it is you're holding, it's not too late to let it go. Not for them, for you. If this story resonated, share it with someone who needs it. And if you're on your own healing journey, keep going. The future needs who you're becoming.